Alright guys, so this is the help that I'm going to give you for the Linear City project. So you should have your piece of paper in front of you. I don't actually have one printed off, so I'm just gonna do it on my paper here. Alright, so this is Linear City A. Okay? So I'm going to flip screen so that I can read the assignment. So it says, find the location of 7 streets. So we are finding 7 streets. Alright, so it's very important. I'm going to make note that I'm finding 7 streets. Your group will write each equation for the given streets. All answers should be on the worksheet with each group member's work attached. Okay, so what that means is you're going to turn this piece of paper in, like this first one says line number 1. Okay? And then after that it says point slope. And then it says slope intercept. And then it says a standard. So what that means is each of you has to have your own work. You can't just turn in one piece of paper with everyone's name on it. No, you have to each have your own work. Okay, so I'm going to be grading individuals on these. All right, so here's what we've got. I've got line number 1, street number 1, line number 1, whichever way you want to call it. Let me zoom in just a little bit. All right, so in order to do this in point slope, I'm going to have to do y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. Now, all the lines on this are pretty much going to be doing the same thing. So, I need to figure out my slope first. So remember, I'm going to label this my first point, this my second point. I'm going to do x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to have to figure out my slope. I'm going to do this one with you. I'm going to do y2, which is 1, minus y1, which is 7. x2, which is negative 9, minus 9. Now, remember, we can use our calculator or we can do it by hand. I'm going to take the easy way out. I'm going to use my calculator. 1 minus 7 on top, negative 9 minus 9 on bottom. And it's 1/3. Alright, so my slope is 1/3. Now, I need to also pick a point. Doesn't matter which one. I always pick the one that looks the easiest. I'm going to go with 9 and 7 because they're both positive. So here's my slope. Here's my point. Here we go. I'm going to switch to blue. I like it because I like to use different colors. It makes it a little easier. So y minus y1 is 7 equals m, which is 1/3, times x minus x value is 9. Alright, so I just need to simplify this. So point slope, here it is. Boom. I'm going to box it in. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do slope intercept. Y minus 7 equals 1/3 times x minus 9. In order to get to slope intercept, I've got to simplify this. I need a hippity-hoppity distributive property. So y minus 7 equals 1/3 x minus 9 times 1/3. Working in your calculator, negative 9 times 1/3. You're going to discover that it's negative 3. I still need to get to y equals, so I'm going to add 7 to both sides. So 1/3 x plus 4. Now here is my slope intercept. Okay, going back and looking. Point slope, point slope. Slope intercept, slope intercept. Now we have to go to standard form. Now depending on where you are in my lesson, we may or may not have done standard form. Standard form just means x and y are on the same side. Super easy to do. Y equals 1/3 x plus 4. Okay, before you can do anything, you can't have fractions. So whatever fraction you have, whatever's in the bottom, we're going to multiply the whole equation by whatever's on the bottom. I have a 3 on the bottom, so that means I'm going to multiply, I'm going to flip it, and multiply the whole thing by 3 over 1. Whatever's on the bottom, just flip it and multiply. 3 times here, this will give me 3y equals 3 times 1/3. Well, that's going to actually be gone, and I'm just going to have 1x. 3 and 4 is going to give me 12. Now I have no fractions, and that's what I want. I can't have fractions. So I'm going to move this x to the other side. So I know you're like, what? But we always solve for y. I know. Don't worry about it. We're just going to move it over here. All right. So that's negative 1x plus 3y equals 12. Now we're almost done. The only catch is we don't like to have a negative first. So since this is negative, I'm just going to change everybody's sign to get rid of it. I'm going to make this a positive, this a negative, and this a negative. I'm going to write my new equation. 1x minus 3y equals negative 12. And that is standard form. So, can't have fractions. I'm going to write it up here. No fraction. And I want the x to be positive. You're like, what? When am I going to use that? Well, you're going to use it later on. We're going to use it whenever we're trying to find the key features. We actually do key features a little different, but standard form, it can be helpful whenever you're solving equations. All right, so there's my first street. Now, I am going to go ahead and do the second street with you, just to be sure we've got it. So, line 2. Well, let me go over here to my other page and get my streets. This one is going to be, find the line that has a y-intercept. This is going to be an easier line. Y-intercept at 10 and an x-intercept at 5. All right. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of thinking. So here's what I've got. I've got a line. The y-intercept is at 10. The x-intercept is at 5. So my line looks something like that, right? Well, in order to solve it, I have to have 2 points. If the y-intercept is at 10, that means this is 10. What is that ordered pair right there? The y value is 10. What's the x value? Hopefully you said 0. Okay, so the x-intercept, this point right here, is at 5. What's the y value? It's 0. There's my 2 points. It's going to work the same as the one up above. So let's find the change in y over the change in x. So 0 minus 10 over 5 minus 0. And you're like, what? Wait, where'd she get that? Okay, here's my first point. Here's my second point. x1, y1, x2, y2. 2 minus the 1, which is 0 minus 10. 5 minus 0. All right, you're back up with me now. Negative 10 over 5, which is negative 2. So there's my slope. I've got my slope. I need a point. You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say we're going to pick this point. So we've got our point and our slope. I'm going to get you started. I may end up working this one all the way. I don't know. Y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. Oh, that should be a little one, not a great big one. There we go. Okay, so here we go. Let's plug and chug. Y minus y1 will be, well, and I actually chose the other point, so this will be, we'll change those to 1s. That'll be 0 equals the slope times x minus 5. All right, so here we go. Y minus 0 is just y. Hippity-hoppity distributive property with that negative 2. Negative 2x plus 10. Good. So, I kind of did two things here, didn't I? Do you know what I did? Point slope is this right here. So I'm going to go ahead and box this in. That's point slope. This one is the next one. That's slope intercept. So that's slope intercept. And this is point slope. All right, the last one is standard form. Okay, x and y on the same side. No fractions, which were good. No good. No fractions. But I do need to move that over here. So I'm going to come over here. Y equals negative 2x plus 10. I'm going to work over here. I'm going to add 2x to both sides. So 2x, this is a positive 1y, so plus y or 1y equals a positive 10. Now, it's positive. I don't care about the y, and there's no fractions. This is my standard form. All right, so there's my 3. Line 2, done. All right, so let me just look at line 3. Find the line that has a slope of 5 over 3 and goes through that point. So when I go to do this one, they kind of have already given me set up, right? So they give me the slope this time is 5 over 3, and it goes through negative 3, 3, right? Make sure I wrote that down right. Negative 3, yep, negative 3, 3. So you've got your point. So point slope, y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. I'm just going to take a second and plug those in. I'm going to put 3, 5 over 3, and negative 3. Two negatives together, bump together, and make a giant positive, and go from there. There's your point slope. Simplify that to get to slope intercept, and then put x on this x and y on the same side to get to your standard form. Remember, if you have a fraction, you have to multiply by the number on the bottom. All right, so I hope that helps you out with your linear city. I'm looking to see if there's any more. Okay. Oh, let me give you a hint on number 4, on line 4. Line 4, find the line that is parallel to line 1. Parallel lines have the same slope. So on number 1, your slope was 1 over 3. Parallel lines, they have the same slope. So I'm going to use 1/3, and it's going to go through 9, negative 2. There's my point and my slope, so I just have to plug and chug it out. All right, let me look at the next one real quick. Line 5. Okay, line 5, it's perpendicular, so let me help you here. Line 5, perpendicular lines. This is a symbol for perpendicular. You take the slope, you flip it, and you change the sign. So here's my point, and I need to go find the slope that is perpendicular to line 1. So here's what I'm going to do. The slope of line 1 was 1 over 3. Flip it. So the slope of the perpendicular line, flip it, so that'll be 3 over 1, and change the sign. So negative 3 over 1, or just negative 3. So you've got a slope of negative 3 and the point negative 3, negative 2. All you got to do is write the line, equation of that line. Perpendicular, flip it, and change the sign. So that'll kind of help you out on those two. Let me see on the other ones how we're doing. Find the line that has an undefined slope. Okay. Find a line that has a slope of 0. Okay, so let me remind you of this on number 6 and number 7. All right. Undefined is a U. What's the word that we have that goes with U? I believe it was Vux. Vux was x equals. So my equation is going to be x equals whatever they told me it was undefined at. Line 7, you had a 0 slope. Well, let's see what it says there. It goes through -2, -13. Oh, I'm tired, y'all. -2, -13. So, if it has a 0 slope, the word is hoy. Well, remember hoy was y equals. Well, what's the y value? -13. So y equals -13. I would graph that. All right. Hopefully that's enough to get you going there. And there's your 7 lines. You're creating your city, you guys. I can't wait to see these and see how they turn out. Thanks for watching. Hope that helped.